Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Fanalysis, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm Retty4, this is Greyjoy91.
Hello.
And this is Antoine Bandelay.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
The summary, Matt. Give it to us.
This is Chapter 6, entitled Gilderoy Lockhart, who's the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. And this is this chapter is about their first day back at school. And their new teacher, Lockhart, he starts poking his nose in all these little spots where he really has no business being there. Kind of like the book in general, really. He doesn't belong at school. But yeah, it's mainly the first day back at school. And he just sort of intrudes in a way. So yeah, let's get through that because there's actually a fair amount to cover here.
Quick question though, Colin. What are kippers?
Kippers?
Fish.
Ah, there you go.
I knew that one. Yeah.
Is that fried fish? Like, do you eat fried fish in the morning?
Aren't they like sardines or something like that?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
little fish
yeah,
that they-
they're kind of small sardine style. And yeah, kippers for breakfast is a well, I wouldn't say it's a common occurrence, but it's certainly an occurrence. We like our big English breakfasts here. Full English breakfast is one of the favourites. But yeah, we get the breakfast morning scene. We get
Right.
the casual kind of visuals of the stuff like just eating the food, the propping up of the book against the milk. Hermione's kind of terseness. She's still kind of like, you were being disapproving of the previous night, as she's wont to do. And the howler arrives to Ron's horror. And I like the fact that Neville
and
as well
is
as also.
this the first time we
got
get
one
all
of those.
caps J.K. Rowling?
I think so. Yeah.
No, really? Like
We got some in Bookcoin?
No.
I would think that probably Dursley, like Vernon Dursley,
Oh,
probably
might
was
have.
shouting at some point.
Okay.
Oh, also like probably Hagrid at one point.
Yeah.
You know,
Get
like,
behind that tree. Yeah, you're right. It has turned up before, but this is definitely the
But,
longest example. But yeah,
Yeah,
just the horror of this moment for Ron, because Neville is, well, he obviously recognises it himself, of course, but Neville is sat reiterating it for us.
What was
If
it?
I
It'll
was
be
personally
worse.
him-
It'll be
One
horrible.
again.
Probably because
What?
he did something. He forgot
No,
something.
but I think he said what he did, and I can't remember.
Oh, he
like,
did?
what did it say? I'm gonna look it up. You guys
I
keep.
don't
don't
think- okay,
think he
but-
does mention
I
it.
thought he
just
did.
said, like, my
Well-
gran sent me one once, which you
And he said you
presume
get-
happened in the school, and it just never got mentioned. So Harry must be relatively familiar with this system, and we know he
if
gets
I
one
was
later
Ron,
on.
I
He
would
gets
have
one
like
later on in the
taken
series
the
as well.
extra whatever the horribleness is of it later and did it like maybe
Away
out on
from
the ground.
people.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean, even if
precisely.
it was worse, I would have done
Yeah,
that. 'cause
it's like-
this is so embarrassing.
We see
That's what he
Neville.
said.
Hmm?
He didn't say why he got it. He just said he ignored it, and it gets worse when you do that.
Right.
That's what he said. Okay, got it. Sorry.
He ran out of the room. Well, later on in the series, he gets another one, and he runs out of the room.
That was
and
for
they
Sirius
hear-
Black.
They hear, yeah, they
Yeah,
hear
that's
it.
for the Sirius Black.
They
incident.
hear it just screaming in the Great Hall.
Yeah, which I love that
Entrance hall,
because
sorry.
like I was like editing that, it would be like a sound treatment where he's running and you wouldn't see him, but you
Yeah.
just hear like a grenade go off
Yeah.
to explode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the visual. The film as well captured this perfectly, with the envelope itself forming the mouth as described, just kind of screaming and spitting in its face. I loved the way the effect was done as well, the sound effects. Sorry, very good. And yeah, it's just one of those moments that stands out in the series. It's just that, oh god,
There's
the
just-
howler.
As a parent like that in the Wizarding world and getting a letter from Dumbledore, you don't want a letter from Dumbledore to be about your kid,
Yeah, precisely.
doing something bad, like especially that's he has such a gravitas in this world. So to have like that, you're like, he contacted us for this reason, like you idiot kid.
yeah.
Like,
I feel like he has like just like a stamp that's like Mrs. Weasley because the twins, and he
Yeah.
just wrote like insert
That's so
child
funny.
name here,
Right.
like they've like been up to shenanigans again, and like this time it was Ronald, like he just wrote that.
Here's your
So, yeah,
obligatory
she's
complaint
used-
letter. Yeah, please
Yeah,
reveal your
she's used
children.
to it.
and you really feel the shame too, because it's not just that Dumbledore left the letter, but they're getting he's getting his father in trouble too, because that's his livelihood and his work, because that was his creation, and there's gonna be an inquiry. So I definitely felt that from Ron and Harry, that, oh man, we should feel bad because could get my dad fired.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Harry's reaction was like, ooh, he was wondering when his name was going to come up, and feeling that guilt immediately following the letter, having realised,
At least-
oh god, we didn't think about that. Yeah,
The good news for like Ron screwed. He'd be in the doghouse for the rest of his life. But
Yeah.
Harry could be like, I have a fortune. Would you like some? Like it was like something like that. Like he has a recourse here.
Right.
But yeah, so that happened.
and it does some good though. Hermione decides that they've been punished enough and stops being terse with the two. So
which
yeah.
I wanted to shake her like, Hermione, we already got detention. Like we're being punished. It's
Right.
like ease up. But yeah, she's.
Well, I think it's probably after like the common room situation. She's like, they didn't really, and now she's like, okay.
Yeah, they get it. They get it. Yeah, they've been properly, disciplined at this point. But we get
to live a little bit. Got her bushy hair down.
she gets there. She gets there, but she's still.
She gets there eventually.
Yeah,
it takes some,
they rub off on her, but it's just
my dad took like 4 films to like her. He was like, "Is she like this in the books?" Like, well, because he only read the.
Like she's way more likable in the movies.
No, that's what I mean. I was like, that's
both
I'm
personally.
saying. He's like, he goes, "Is she like this in the books?" I was like, "No, she's worse."
Yeah, way worse.
He's like, wow, all right.
But McGonagall brings the timetables around, and they open up with double herbology. So we get the nice walk out into the crisp grounds, where we get the first stumbling upon Gilderoy Lockhart as he's trying to tell the herbology teacher, Professor Sprout, infinitely superior, well, not wizard but witch.
Because Gilderoy's mind
do a job.
It's like this. Oh, I see somebody. I need to go give them the gift of me.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's basically it. Without any other reason, he's just going to go out and say, "I know nothing about this tree, but I'm still going to go out and pretend like I know everything about this tree." To the person who does, it's just
funny that he knows enough of the terminology to be able to try to bullshit his way through a conversation like that's sort of relevant to the subject at hand when it comes to like herbology or potions or whatever. But he really just has no idea what he's doing. It's like you almost, we get to see what happens later on when they actually take him up on his offer. It's like, okay, do it. But what would he do if they just did that every time? Like, is he psychologically fucked up? Like, this seems compulsive. Like this could easily go wrong at every time he says this.
And she knows that he's bullshitting because I've seen many plants like this, and like, no, you haven't. this is very clearly unique.
She could easily be like, okay,
which plant?
Take care of them.
Yeah.
Take care of them now, please.
Go here, have the bandages. I've got a class to
care
teach. You take this.
Yeah.
You can go and deal with it. And again, presumably he's got to teach someone right now because the chances of him having an open class at this part of the day is very slim. They may not be teaching the first years, but second years rather. But he's got other years to teach.
That's always been the funny thing about that class in particular is that none of them have remotely like similar curriculum. So it's always like I always feel bad for the people that are sitting their newts or their owls the year that they got like Scott. Like, what do you?
I guess it's a good place to study too. Like if you go to university, a lot of professors spend a lot of time in the library and stuff like that, and just like they're studying. And the only reason they're teaching kids is just making sure that they themselves are honed on their craft, whatever that might be. So I can see them just being like, "Oh, Hogwarts they have a great library. Like, I can just be here and learning."
Anybody who wanted to be like an Auror, like the year that Umbridge was like in charge, and like you were like it was like your newt's year, you were fucked. Like there's no way that's not good. They had it worse than the people who had their owls that year.
Or even the year Gilderoy is in charge. Newt level people this year are just completely screwed.
And even a good one like Professor Lupin. I guess maybe he had other stuff, but he seemed to like just teach about dark creatures. Maybe that's the third year thing, but it just seemed like they all have different areas of focus. So it's like Defense Against the Dark Arts is just very scattershot. You're going to learn. Yeah.
All because of Voldemort.
But in any case.
But yeah, we get them going into Greenhouse 3, and we get the introduction of some more exciting plants. The mandrakes in particular have always been one of those standouts in the herbology department. And we also get the introduction of Justin Finch Fletchley.
Right, which is like one of the first Muggle-born people to come up. Or I think is Colin also Muggle-born, or he's just half?
He's
Muggle-born, yeah.
He's Muggle as well. Yeah, they bring up both of those characters in this chapter, establishing that kind of theme that's going to be coming.
Seamus is the only other major character that's a half-blood, I think, right?
He's a half-blood.
Right, he's half, yeah. Well, and Dean doesn't know what he is, which we don't know about until later.
Isn't it?
Wait. But yeah,
Dean Thomas isn't sure. That's the reason why he's on the run. Is because he doesn't know
right, of course.
who his father was.
Of course, yeah. You're right, yeah. I forgot about that.
But I mean, but you were saying that he's the only other one? Like you're saying like they're all purebloods, Callan?
No, but he's the major one. First major kind of focused on one of the characters.
Right.
We know there are loads of others. Okay. Yeah, loads of others. But this is the kind of the first focus on it. And it's a nice way of doing it because it's introducing the concept in the back of our heads before the whole Mudbloods and Murmurs thing comes up.
Yeah, it's not a thing. It's like he doesn't say like, hey, I'm a Muggle-born. Like he just kind of like in a very roundabout way, like, well, I was gonna go to a Muggle school before, like,
Is Eden is that a known place, by the way?
Yes, it's usually known. It's one of the big ones. But I was down for Eton. It's basically how you have to read that. But yeah, it's.
I would say Hogwarts any day. They're like, what is a wizard school?
Yeah, precisely.
I don't care about that.
I don't care how great
Ivy
Oxford,
League school.
Cambridge, Eton, whatever are. Yeah, go to Hogwarts, please. It's just better.
Well, I do like how even though you said it that way, he could. That's almost like a Malfoy way.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah. He doesn't come across that way at all.
No, I'm not saying you're saying that. I like the way that she's able to give him a more pleasant voice, even though that could easily be, I was down for Eton,
Yeah,
like he didn't. It's not that.
Yeah,
he's very friendly.
He's not saying anything of particular substance that would lead you to believe that he's not saying it that way as well. It's just the way she writes the simple lines. It happens again with Annie Macmillan. Aside from the fact that they all should physically describe her, physically describe him as being he's a bit one of those guys. But even from the lines he has, you can tell the difference between him and Finch Fletchley just from the dialogue. It's very subtly done.
Bernie makes me laugh. Like he's almost like he's not Gilderoy. He's like Gilderoy if Gilderoy was competent.
But he's just more grounded in reality. If a bit weird.
It's just funny to think that they're 12 at this point, and he talks that way.
I'd say that for a few of the characters.
My blood is as pure as it comes. It's like, I mean, would you really be talking? Anyway,
but speaking of the fact that they're 12, naturally they deal with extremely lethal plants. Granted, they're young, but still, it's just don't take your earmuffs off, or don't knock each other's earmuffs out because they will just knock you out. And
that's the thing with wizards in general; they don't really care about the well-being because they generally like recoup like faster than the humans. Like for us, we're like, oh no, we can never put ourselves in that situation. But for wizards, it's kind of like, well, they're magical. Like they get it, even if they would. Like for us, we probably would have our ears bleed.
I love the way she says it in the movie. Yeah, well, just leave him there. Let's go with it. Like, you're like,
yeah.
It's like, fuck it. I've got other things to do today.
And she's another one with a particular voice as well that comes up in this chapter. When she says, "All right, everyone, chaps, let's head in. Greenhouse 3 today, chaps." Just the difference between her and all of the other teachers. They all have their own personalities, and she's one of the minor background teachers.
Right. Like, I wonder if
she probably is. Yeah,
like teachers or maybe just people she's known in life to like, okay, this is going to be like Mrs. Felcher over here. This is going to be Mr. Green. Like, she's like,
we know she's definitely done that. But whether or not she has done with Sprout, not sure, because I've not heard her mention that one before. But she did for the likes of Umbridge, for example. Umbridge is someone she knew. Probably scaled way up, but yeah, she knew her personality-wise.
That has to be scaled up. There's never been an Umbridge. Like, Umbridge doesn't exist. Not really. That can't happen.
Yeah. I love the prose where it says that Hermione sounds as usual as though she has swallowed the textbook. That's such a very, very good imagery.
And the fact that comes off, before she even opens her mouth, it's like, yep, of course, hand up, immediately read it. Mandrake or Mandragora. Another good scene in the film as well.
When they defeated the troll in the previous year, how many points did McGonagall award them?
Five each.
So this is when it comes up precisely 20, and then Gilderoy as well later
in the
on.
First book are nothing. I mean, there's even like at one point Snape was 1 point from Gryffindor. It's like 1 point. Who's a shit about 1 point? Like it was like I think in his first chapter. He was like he was just taking like 1 point at a time. Yeah, big deal.
Another point. It's just
maybe that's
ridiculous.
all that was there because there was only 5 points in total. She's like,
but
1 point.
The whole points thing. I guess you could excuse this with like, you have to be bending over backwards, but she didn't have this figured out from the start because in this book, Percy takes away points, and later on in like after the what do they call it when the Inquisitorial Squad or like whatever. Yeah. But like when Malfoy starts docking points, they're like that's outrageous. That's not a thing. Like prefects can't do that, but Percy did.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
There are some inconsistencies, and especially with the point system. She clearly hadn't figured that out by the end of, or by the first book alone, because it's just ridiculous. 30 points in the space of 2 classes, compared to defeating a mountain troll. I mean, McGonagall's strict but unfair, but she's not actively sabotaging every effort from a Gryffindor.
She might be. I'm not prepared to. I can't quite join you.
I'm going to make it.
She gave them the points for sheer dumb luck.
Still though. I mean, I suppose that is a good explanation enough that it was just dumb luck, but still, I mean, that's
speaking harsh. Of McGonagall, that's their next class setting.
Yeah, Transfiguration after this.
Turning needles into buttons.
Yeah, and
probably
this is,
definitely
like,
my
where-
favorite class. I think just the idea of doing the Transfiguration work itself.
Yeah,
In
I
terms
would
of
really
mundane
love potions
baseline
if
class,
Snape
other
wasn't
classes.
there, I would love potions if Snape wasn't there. That's another
Yeah,
reason why I
potions would
love
be
book
fun.
6.
Yeah,
Because
it's so
Slughorn is like I could live in that class. That'd be so great.
I think
But,
other classes have more exciting peaks, but for me, the baseline just enjoyment of a class, Transfiguration would have to be it, because every time you're just doing something cool with your magic, even if it's ultimately pointless. The actual learning skills it gives you is pretty cool. How you can apply it elsewhere.
I don't think it's necessarily pointless because like this is like the one that gives you conjuration and vanishment, right? Like so those are.
Oh
like,
no, sure, that's what I mean. You get the skills to apply elsewhere, but the actual activities you're doing at the table, it's like let me make a rat into a water goblet. It's like what? It's like what's the point of this? So yeah, it's just it's it's about the application of the style of magic, which I like.
I feel like the only point to that has to be a stepping stone, like where you're not competent enough to like just conjure something. You have to transfigure existing matter into something else, like a
Before
starting
you can do all
place.
that. Yeah.
Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just create the thing? Like why, like you say, why would you turn something into a water goblet?
Yeah.
but
she's
in any
usually
case,
quite good at it. We just talk about her lack of world building in general, but she's usually quite good at having the background kind of sense apply to these. Like you say, it makes sense that conjuration is more difficult than transfiguration based on the little instances of magic she gives us throughout the books. This is of course this is more difficult because you have to put more focus on it, or because it's a more it's a larger thing, or because there's always some sort of background logic to or reasoning to the notion, which I like. But also we get the introduction of Ron's wand playing up. This is when it kind of
smelling of rotten egg.
starts having issues. Yeah, and just again,
Which
just
is
imagining
establishing
McGonagall's
it.
response to it, just like ugh, Weasley.
Which I
it's
feel like
it's her
she's been
equivalent of
saying
Potter,
that
you
for,
fool.
like, yeah. Well, actually, no. Yeah, she's been saying it for a while because the twins. Like she had like
Yeah,
3
precisely.
solid years
Bill and
of-
Charlie and
of,
Percy. He's a bit of a snob,
Yeah.
He's a good kid or good student, and then Weasley twins.
I'm surprised they don't have secondhand wands just to have,
Well,
I
I
mean,
suppose
like,
the
on
one
hand.
choose the wizard thing is probably
Yeah, there's that too, but
unhelpful.
they'd be using everyone else's wizard or wands all the time.
that they don't really establish anything about that you can't do that until like the 11th hour with book
Right.
7.
Right.
But yeah, or that you're not supposed to be able to or won't get good results. But yeah, they do. It's funny, like they kind of have that situation with the broomsticks too. Like some poor souls have to use like just like the shittiest oldest
Right.
brooms like ever.
I mean,
Not that
as we
those are
said before,
personal,
Ron
you know
is
what I mean?
is flying slower than the butterfly.
Slower than butterflies.
Yeah, oh,
playing
God.
footage. Yeah. But then we get to lunchtime, and that's where they get the introduction of Colin Creevey properly, not just a boy through a window. And I thought it could have been taken as a way of Harry seeing what he was like last year if he was a little bit more extroverted about his excitement, because he's always like, isn't it so cool that all this stuff is here and that this exists and that, you could turn pictures into motion and stuff like that. And then he's just over there just like, why is this kid like that?
A part of me feels like between Colin's fandom and Lockhart's fame going to his head, that like this book is her transitioning from being just an author to a famous person, and like seeing like the different lens like through which that can be perceived. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely a theme of fame here for sure.
Yeah. So it's like she like in Colin, like he's very well meaning, but he's not like just annoying. It's like that kind of treatment, if you let it go to your head, can transform you. You know what I mean? It's like it's antithetical to who Harry just naturally is. So he distances himself not out of spite for Colin, he's not comfortable with this. That's all.
And again,
Which I imagine she's not.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it isn't, like I say, it isn't spite. He does get annoyed and irritated by Colin, of course, especially as the books go on, as it just becomes a constant reoccurrence for him. But he's always trying, at least at the start, to be nice to him. He's trying to just be gentle and not, knock him down. Particularly in one of the later chapters, when, as we said about the Quidditch explanation from the previous chapter, he's going to, is going to be doing it again then.
Yeah, spoiler alert, but Colin dies, right? Like during the battle.
Yes, he does.
Yep, that's another reason to big him up for a sympathy note. Not just the death, but also the fact that he's one of the petrification victims. So we need to have his presence.
And it's because he was
relatively
always trying to be in the middle of it. Like that was the thing. He was actually supposed to stay behind because he was underage. But he wanted to stick around and fight.
Man, there's like he's not like a big character, but that bums me out. I don't like him dying. But yeah, there's a few that like really bother me.
She kills quite a few people.
Did she kill his brother as well? Like both?
I don't
Creevey
think so.
brothers?
I'm pretty sure she does. both twins.
Oh, she's just both. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Both
That woman.
both Creevey
She's
twins.
Georgia R before there was Georgia. Actually, no. Georgia R is actually before her.
Yeah, he's
technically.
before. But
Yeah.
he already killed Ned Stark like before, like while she was
Yeah.
writing. But in any case,
That's probably why she was like, "Oh, we can do that? Okay." But yeah, the Draco comes into it because Colin's asking for like a signed photo, and then the whole
signed photos, Potter. You're giving away signed photos.
That's
like-
all he does. He walks into this book and just like, oh Potter, what are you doing this for? Oh Weasley, why? It's just Malfoy. It's the year he does this.
It's hilarious. Like knowing where Malfoy
Draco
goes.
salt.
Yeah, the fact that like Malfoy eventually does get like unfortunately involved with like the likes of Voldemort and like his underlings. He's so minor, like back like in these earlier books where he's just an idiot kid.
He's a school bully, but not even like not even less
not even a good
level.
one, though.
Yeah, I know. Saying like, yeah, he's a lesser level than even being a school bully. You know.
Yeah, he's just a mild annoyance, basically.
And that brings back Gilderoy again because like, and this has already been established because we kind of skipped over it, but Gilderoy was there to see Harry, not just to mess around with Herbology teacher doing Herbology teacher stuff, but he was saying like, oh, you got a taste for fame, didn't you? Like, yeah, I should have warned you about or when I had you at Flourish and Blots or whatever, and it's like. This guy is
Harry,
so deluded,
Harry, I've come to remind you, you're not yet as famous as I. It's like, yeah, I am actually.
And then he goes like, "Oh, I know you might have had a head start, with the he who must not be named business, but you're baby steps, man, baby steps." And I wonder like what his motivation is. Is he feeling like
it's feeling
overshadowed?
Yeah,
he's impulsive. Like he has to be off his rocker. This doesn't make sense at all. It's as we were just making fun of Snape. Like, where's Potter? Like as soon as he's off the train. This is like he came in on I'm being upstaged. Where's Potter? Like I need to go find Potter.
Exactly.
To put him in his place.
No one's talking about me right now. They're talking about this Potter kid. He's doing signed photos. I must intervene. So he's completely deluded.
It's just he's got the kind of less grating Umbridge effect to him. Like her sweetness.
I was gonna say that in terms of like a character,
saccharine. Like he's doing
him
it.
and Umbridge.
Yeah, it's him just the constant like, oh god, man, can you not?
I love listening to the audiobook as well because like when you're reading him repeating the name Harry, he could just be going Harry, but in the audiobook Harry.
The film as well.
Every single time he says it, it's too much.
Oh yeah, he does. I forget he does.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
But he only does it like a few times, right? Like he does it like so many times in the book. You don't notice it until
because it's a lot more.
Yeah.
And by the way, we were wrong about Dennis. Dennis survives, or is unknown actually. Status is unknown. But which is why I thought he was dead.
Okay, that's why I didn't think both of them died.
I'll just assume, like for the sake of sanity, that family wasn't wiped out during the Battle of Hogwarts. But in any case,
which happens during wars though. But I appreciate her for doing that because
no, it's too sad. She shouldn't have killed him.
Keep it unclear so that we can say he did die.
She killed everyone in that book. She didn't need to kill everyone.
She really did though. Yeah, we'll get there. But what's the next thing? Is it the defense against dark arts?
Yeah, this is when we actually
about...
have him kind of okay, everyone, do a pop quiz on me because I'm me and you should love me. It's just the ridiculousness of this. I mean, the fact that they sit down and like, I mean, are you serious? But we're gonna have to do this. Ready?
Yeah,
I
love Don's reaction in particular because he is so like flabbergasted by this whole experience.
Yeah,
because you can
and
just
the also
see,
the
like
introduction
young
of
Rupert
the
Grint's face, like
Yes.
in his mind, like looking at it,
doing one of his
like,
faces.
Yeah.
but as well,
it's like this, like with the term "shocked and horrified." Like that's like what I think of is like his face when he's looking at Lockhart.
Yeah,
but,
it's like what are you? Yeah, just the pain involved. But we also get the whole thing with Hermione because she gets full marks as she does with everything. But yeah, the little hearts on the timetable for Lockhart that gets mentioned by Ron. A nice little nod towards him mocking her again. But also this time he's absolutely right too because it's ridiculous.
This is the only time that she's appropriately ashamed for being 100% on a test because she shouldn't be. Like this is beneath everyone.
Fangirling to the max at this point, but still being competent because when he lets out the pixies, like she's the only one who's actually able to freeze, and then she tries to like swing at it, be like, "Oh, he's just trying to give us hands-on experience. He needs to leave us here to like figure this out on our own." You know what I mean?
I like that it's Harry that swats her down. It's like, Hermione, he hasn't got a clue what he's doing. It's just like the fact that he's the one being that voice of reason. Not that he isn't unreasonable elsewhere, but he's usually a little bit more gentle with her than Ron is. And he's like, no, Hermione.
Well, she's also usually right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of
there's
course,
that.
yeah.
He usually doesn't need to point something out.
Very
but
true,
here
yeah.
he very much does.
Yeah.
Um,
I like again
but
what the film
I just
did
love
with
how
this one.
brazen that Gilderoy is about like that bullshit spell that does nothing.
Right.
That
It's like, how can you be that way?
that thing that he does,
Best
that
of
thing
them.
that he says in the movie, he says in the book, and it's
Yeah.
Right.
it's the same. It's like, what is wrong with you?
It sounds so similar to that bogus spell they gave to Ron in book 1 with the Sunshine
Sunshine
Daisy
Daisy
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow.
It sounds like that. You know what I mean?
Pesky, pixie,
Like most of the spells sound like
Oh my
they do
God.
what they're supposed to do. This one sounds like it's trying to fit,
Be a spell,
but it's
yeah.
like made up gibberish.
If you were 7 years old and I gave you a wand and I said, get rid of this pixie, you would go, pesky, pixie, pestinomi. And
Yeah.
nothing would happen. And you just go, oh, okay.
He does it with full confidence, man.
He's like 40 something years old.
Yep. It's just, oh my
Doesn't make
God.
sense.
Like, why would you let those out? You know that you can't do anything about it. Like, yeah, it doesn't. He's just completely delusional. That guy.
This, more than anyone else we've seen thus far, is a caricature. You know, just that, oh,
Right.
here, let me
Until
hold my book
Umbridge.
to the side
Like,
as it
no one
winks and
beats
goes,
him until Umbridge.
It's like you can see the glint on his teeth as he holds up that book. It's just, oh God.
It doesn't ever bother me. I find Gilderoy entertaining in spite of myself, but he is he's not a believable character. He's
Right.
just, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Especially
like
later
because,
on.
yeah,
you
same
get
with
that one moment.
Umbridge. She's not a believable character, but she is just so grating, and I
Oh,
I
God.
hate her. Like,
It's,
not even
it's
so much.
very
Like,
difficult to
I
not
love to hate
her.
her. No, I just straight up hate her.
No,
And then with this, with
Umbridge-
Gilderoy, it's the opposite effect.
Yeah, Umbridge is one of my lingering complaints about this series is the fact that it was perfectly positioned and it didn't happen. Was the fact that her soul wasn't sucked out by a Dementor. That should have happened. But yeah, like she's horrible. Like you can't like Umbridge,
No.
and whoever's gonna comment, I like Umbridge. Please, like, I don't have.
Re-examine your life. But yeah, the lessons. One thing I do want to make note: the film as well did this very well. It obviously changed a few things in order and made Hermione's spell more prominent than it is in the book. But I liked that it played it up and kind of it was a good example of that microcosm of an adaptation. Just take the scene and make it feel magic. I like that the transition they did there, or translation.
It was like I think the major difference is just poor Neville was stuck up there in the movie the whole
Right.
time. Like
Why
he
is
didn't
it
shut
always
down.
me? He ends the scene.
Why is it
Why
always me?
me? Versus
Yeah.
he says he's done.
Yeah, because in the book he does, but in the book at the same time he does go up there and he does fall down, and and this Mobula spell happens. It's just on a smaller scale in the book. So they're taking these elements and they're just bigging them up for the screen. So I like it.
Like the first two movies are basically just the books. Like there's very little variance there, aside from where it's necessary.
Yeah, they're really good, solid adaptations. I like it. But yeah, that's the end of that lesson, and we get them obviously mocking him as he leaves and leaves them to clear up, and yeah, that's basically the end, right, of this chapter.
Yeah,
The chapter ends the way his lesson does, just in disarray. So yeah,
They're left to deal with the mess, as the trio often is with these things.
but yeah, so that's this chapter, and so we've completed I don't know what portion of the book is, like a third or a quarter of it or whatever. But after this point, after this point, we start getting into the actual plot.
Yeah.
So far, we've just been all set.
This
up
was
here.
another hijinks. It's kind of like one of those hijinks Hogwarts chapters, which happens in almost every book, where it's like, oh, let's just have an episode in Hogwarts, and what are they going to get into,
And at the same time,
Yeah, I
she's doing
feel
that
like-
rolling thing where she lays the groundworks for the story and the themes to come. Like we've had the introduction of the blood purity in the back of our minds. We've had the Whomping Willow. We've
Right.
had the teachers that are coming up and being relevant throughout this story.
Yeah.
She's doing that kind of laying of the land that she needs to do to get everything set up for the immediately following chapters, which I like. And
To
it
dovetail
doesn't
off
feel
that
like she's
point-
doing that as well. It goes back to her
Yeah.
doing it subtly.
Yeah, you're re-exploring the setting through the character's eyes and doing what you were saying. And to dovetail off that, with one or two possible exceptions that I'm not really inclined to even count, like the Minister or Tom Riddle, we've now met everybody who's going to be a character that matters at this point. We needed all that. So the establishment is officially complete.
This is the first time we get Draco, for instance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Well,
important.
that happens in he's also in
he was
Forge and
there
Blocks,
early.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
Never
but
mind.
essentially it's the
And
same
also
introduction,
seeing-
though. So yeah, I can see why you would think that.
But also the confirmation that Lockhart is what we may have already expected him to be, which is a farce. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
We've now seen that. So yeah. Yeah, that's this chapter. That was what was this called? That was Gilderoy Lockhart. So yeah,
What else could it have been? But yeah, let us know in the comments down below anything, your thoughts on anything you want us to cover in greater detail, or anything we've entirely missed. And yeah, I'm ready for, and I still have an outro.
that's right. And I'm GreyJedi91. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Antoine Vandelay, mischief managed.
Goodbye.